Me too.
I need to get the YouTube started.
I was wrong on that collage on Dolly's feet. I had done that probably 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I did the last pictures on Friday and then looked at them, but I didn't get them onto the other collage.
Onto the collage.
So the collage is a couple of weeks old.
It's kind of amazing how, well, you figure what's the rate of hoof growth? So if the quarters are not being trimmed properly, quarters and pillars, then at the rate of hoof growth is the rate they're going to move forward.
Right.
Okay, so we are now live again. And I need to do a new share. Well, let's just go here for a second. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay, so we're back on part 2 of this hoof, whatever it is we got. Hoof chat, hoof cast, hoof, hoof, whatever. And so, yeah, so then that makes, now you know why the bevel would you put a collage together of how the bevels got stronger every time she had to trim because the quarters were pushing the toe forward?
You can see that on these pictures because these are right after a trim.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. 10. And so she's only coming like what, every 6 weeks?
Been 8 weeks over the winter, 6 weeks, and then 8 weeks over the winter, and this will be 7 weeks now on the next trim.
Okay. Well, see, it's interesting to see how quickly these feet can get out of shape just from that. I mean, and here's the thing. I don't know if there are very many people teaching about these horn tubules and how they do this. You know, nobody ever taught me. I had to figure it out on my own. To try and save my horse. And so, that's all tact is, you know, somebody trying to save their horse. Yeah, I broke it. Now I got to fix it. Well, how do I fix it? And now it's all of us together and we're seeing these patterns. We're seeing these patterns. The more people we have intact taking pictures, the more we will see patterns of evidence. So that's great. Okay, so you're going to endeavor to just do some beveling to see if you can kind of get some of this to move back.
That's my hope.
Okay. Well, if you need some moral support or anything like that, you give me a call. Okay.
Thanks. I'm hoping that my farrier is going to be willing to try this because she's been fairly open-minded about it, so we'll see.
Good. Okay. Okie doke. Yeah, well, see, you got the evidence right in front of you there. You know? See, and that's the thing, they've never learned about that. I think Cheryl Henderson tried to do something with that, with something she called a hoof notch, but you can't do the thing is, when you're trimming the heels out and trying to get all that back into alignment at the same time, it don't work all that well. Other than you can really then compress the foot from both ends real well. So,
Marilyn, do you show your farrier these kind of pictures?
I haven't been, but I will be.
Yeah, I always show mine. Mine loves that I take pictures and send him all the time. I'm lucky he's very open-minded, but he sees stuff.
that's great. That's great. You have an open-minded farrier.
Mm-hmm.
A rarity.
Yeah, well, I've threatened to kill him a few times. So
Oh yeah, that's right. I
remember
think you told
when
us
you
that
said,
one time.
yeah, when you said 4-point trim, I was like, oh yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah. Uh, that's right. I remember now. Oh, can everybody just hold on for a second? Hold on. Okay, and here I am again. All right. Okay, well, does anybody else have some feet they want to look at or discuss or a situation or anything
Could we,
like
could,
that?
could we please look at Dolly, the back of her frogs before
Oh
we
yeah. Yeah, we're
move
not
on?
done with
Thanks.
Dolly yet. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
Perry.
make sure you get everything in there so we get the whole thing done here. Just a second here. New share. Okay. Okay, I gotta go find the right pictures. Just a second. Oh, dee do dee dum. Okay. Okay, so what we know, you see it in these horn tubules too. See it? How it's then pushing this up, and as it pushes this up, it's pulling this under.
Uh-huh. That picture got
And
blurry. Why? I don't know.
well, but it may be blurry, but it's still showing us the same thing. It's showing us on the sides where the horn tubules are not connecting in with the sole in the right spot. And so you have this separation in the sides. Yeah, see there?
You see that line that goes across just under where I have LF on the hoof? That
Mm-hmm.
right there, that's the sole from the front.
Yeah.
That's not a bar.
No, yeah, I can tell it's sole. I see your bar right here. So so this is all just kind of being pulled under, I think, for the same reason that these horn tubules from here to here and here to here are uh not growing down to where they're supposed to be. And it's just pulling her foot, the back of her foot down and under.
Right. Now I'm wondering, should I be opening those collateral grooves? I have not touched her frogs for at least 2 months. I haven't done anything with them. Should I open those grooves or should I just leave the periopal the way it is?
No, I would leave this like this for right now, and I would work on the sides.
Okay.
See, because look, there's no relief there for them to move if they wanted to.
Right.
Yeah. See that they're growing here when they're supposed to be growing and connecting with the soul right there.
Look at the notch.
Oh, I couldn't see it there because see how that wants to break out naturally? Do you see why these notches would work? See? Because they work because they take out part of this hoof capsule right in here that allows all this to move back. I have never sored a horse from making a notch. See, a notch would go up like that and like that.
You can see that one is trying to notch out
It
too, and
is
I wouldn't
trying
be
to notch,
surprised.
isn't it? Yeah. And why is that? Because there's nothing there to begin with.
Right.
This horn tubule is growing over to here when it's supposed to be growing down here, meeting up with the sole and growing down to the ground. And so there's nothing in there. It's actually hollow in there. Yeah. Yeah, you're just hollow. You ain't got nothing in here anyway, and it's just pulling the whole foot forward. And eventually too what'll happen is well, just look at all this hard I would take out some of this periopal here.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe. Well, first
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, first do some relief in the tubules.
Okay.
To see if they will come back. When her hairline here looks pretty good though, but this is this is now? Yeah. Well, see, like here, the horn tubules don't look quite as bad, but you see, that's because they're shortened by the bevel.
On the original trim, that the hind feet had been beveled a little bit more to give that relief.
Okay.
Linda, can I just ask Marilyn if that sole view picture of Dolly's foot, is that straight after trim?
The ones now, no, but the previous ones, yes. The pictures we're seeing now, the pictures we're seeing now are not right after trim.
Are these the hinds?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
This is the hind. Okay.
It says right on the side, left hind lateral.
Oh, right there. Okay. Looks like Greek. No.
Hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics. Well, this one's left hind medial. That's right hind medial, and this is left hind lateral. Okay.
Left hind lateral.
Okay. Okay, see the hind feet aren't as bad as the front feet, but isn't that the way it always is? you know,
It
but
has
yet,
been with her.
yeah, but yet she's still doing a pretty strong bevel there. And these are still pushing the whole toe forward. So, oh, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Let me undo that. Yeah, the way I look at it now, that frog, I would try the tubules in the front first for a little bit. You know, I
Okay.
can't say that I know exactly how everything's going to respond. You know, um, it's like, is the back holding it? Well, first of all, yeah, it is holding it from going forward. Okay. So, uh, this is theory. I would want to try and get this relieved and some stuff working out here before I totally did any relief back there for the foot to be able to pull up. So, well, why don't you try that over the next couple weeks and then take some pictures, especially on this horn tubule issue, and see how it goes.
Okay, she's due for a trim. The farrier's coming on the 9th.
Okay. Okay.
That's what, another week and a half, 2 weeks? I don't know.
Okay. Okie doke. Of course, then Meg and I just went through her horse's feet, and that's what you did, wasn't it, Megan? You relieved the quarters.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and she felt, and I kind of thought too, that it had a different effect. Let's well, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see what her feet look like now after they've gotten wet.
Yeah, yeah,
We could be looking at a whole different ball game.
yeah, that's exactly right. Let's see here. I'm trying to find out where to clear all this off. Hold on. I need to go look at Megan's horse's feet for a second. See, before we got on YouTube, we went through a whole thing with her horse. Just a minute. I gotta see if I can
Yeah, that's
find
why I was so interested when Marilyn was speaking about
Yeah,
the dry
but
conditions, because
and
that's really what I'm thinking has caused a lot of this change is the
yeah,
dryness.
let's see here.
And normally we have snow on the ground all winter, and we haven't. It's been just a very, very unusual winter. So normally her feet would be nice and moist and no problem, but not this year. Oh, this weekend, no.
Let's see. Oh, gotta remember whose horse's feet I'm looking for.
Megan's.
That's right. KLM. Oh, there. Well, let's see. New share. So what Megan was concerned about was that she did relieve this. Of course, in your case, your horn tubules aren't really grown forward real strong either. And what she was concerned about was it did this, but then I was showing too on my horse how moisture can absolutely make the feet expand or contract. So their feet were getting moisture here, but not here. And so we figured it just really dried up, you know, and the foot contracted a little to look a little bit like that. But you can see here too that her horn tubules are not way up here,
Right.
you know. So
But if you
again,
look at the whole capsule, you can almost see like the wall has dried up, the periopal, everything's sort of shrunk.
yeah,
Right.
yep, it did. Yep.
So I'm hoping when there's moisture again, the back of the foot will pop up and back.
Oh yeah, and I believe you will see that because I mean I've proven that in some experiments I've done with trimming Valor's foot and putting it in a boot and keeping it wet for days. How it can expand. Which maybe I have that picture still out. Let's see.
I'm just interested to know, that's why I asked if that solar view was after the farrier had been, because I'm interested to understand why Marilyn's farrier would leave that section so high. What is the thought process behind leaving that wall so high in that area?
Well, or what do you mean? I'm confused.
So on Marilyn's solar view of Dolly's foot, where those horn tubules are growing down and then forward, if you look at the underside of the foot, that
Yeah.
part of the wall is significantly higher than the sole
Yeah,
level.
I see.
So
Okay.
why wouldn't the farrier be taking that down
Yeah.
and leveling gently outward, which would essentially alleviate
Yeah.
that pressure?
Because
I'm
they
not
don't,
sure what the thinking is.
yeah, they don't look at the horn tubules. And they don't know, and I know from having done it that when people run into that scoop, that hollow place right there, they don't quite know what to do with it. And so they'll either leave it or take it. If you take it, then you have a pretty big arch, pretty big scoop. If you leave it, then you just have what you have there, you know, thin, weirded, disconnected wall and sole. You know, you can't get a clean white line there. And so they leave it because they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And then I think it goes to what I've heard you speak about before, Linda, is when they see the what they think is the toe pushing forward because the
Yeah.
whole capsule is pushed forward, then they tend to want to knock the toe back, but then you're just creating a smaller and smaller capsule
Yeah.
because not addressing the tubules further back in the foot and then the back
Yeah.
of the foot, where all
Yeah,
that periopal
exactly.
and the binding is happening. And you can see that in Dolly's pictures. You can see that the whole capsule, when you've got that collage of the three pictures, the hoof is getting smaller because nothing's expanding out the back, but they're just knocking the farriers, bringing that toe back so
Yeah.
sort of strongly.
Yeah, and to me, it kind of favors that 4-point trim too, because that's what my farrier did. He chopped the toe off and left the pillars for her
Yeah.
I'm
stand.
not hearing anything.
Yeah.
Did something happen to the sound?
Huh? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Anybody hear me?
Yeah, I
We
can hear.
hear you.
Oh.
Marilyn said she can't hear. Maybe she's muted the group or something.
She might have muted herself. Yep, she's muted. I'm asking her to unmute. She muted herself. So I don't know. Oh, she must have checked out for a minute to try and come back.
The
Yeah,
whole thing went out and got reconnected.
Oh, there you go. Oh, now she's muted again. Huh. Yeah, I can't unmute you from here. I can mute you, but I can't unmute you. So, okay, well, okay. And now see here on this left hind medial, okay, sometimes, and here's another thing. You could have horn tubules running way forward on one side and not on another. You know, so look at this area of horn tubule here. Okay, it is pretty run forward right there too, but But also this area needs to grow while this area needs to be relieved and come out of the capsule. But I don't know how much will come out without growing in some more heel, kinda. See, it's like a puzzle because the thing is growing continually, you know?
I felt like her when she sent me those 3 pictures that
Mhm.
the first thing that popped out at me was that curved high, and I was like, that is exactly like all you talk about when you back up that toe and you bend that inner foot. It's like
Yeah.
it's being pushed up. That was like just jumped out at me.
Okay,
Why?
yeah.
And then if they're not taking the pillars, it's because when you take those pillars, there's no toe to stand on, and you're
Yeah.
dumping them right in their stall. So
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. You can't do a perfect trim on a distorted, imperfect foot.
mhm,
You know, there's going to be something you're not going to like. You
mhm.
know, like this is all standing up above the sole. So if you take it down, you may have a hook in the heel. Maybe that hook's a good thing. You know, as that horse walks, maybe it's going to shove his heels back. Um, you know, there's no way you can take this down and make it look perfect, good, because the foot is distorted, and so everything is supposed to move.
I sure wish I was 10 years younger.
Oh man, me too. Me too. Because man, this is hard. It's not easy at all. Yep. See, just even on the back feet, having to take a bigger bevel to make it look like the toes back. And you know, you can tell when things are growing cattywampus too, because see, she beveled the outside here too, which would have been better to bevel from the bottom and not from the top, because then you got that relief right there at the bottom. Anyways, what do you think, Marilyn?
It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that her feet are going to straighten out. I really do.
I know. I hope so too, dear. Oh God, this is just, this is hard. That's all there is to it. This is hard. See,
On the
we should
positive side, she's walking pretty good.
good. That's good. But she wasn't after the last trim, right?
Not
Or
too
was
bad.
she? Not too bad. Okay, well that's good.
Not too bad.
Okay.
And it's interesting when I got her the first before I started trimming, she had an odd gait in the back. Her hindquarters just didn't work real well,
Uh-huh.
and she didn't track up. When she was walking, her hind feet would plant at least 8 to 10 inches behind the tracks on her front feet.
Oh wow, that's awful.
Right, and now she's tracking up to the front feet and occasionally half into the front tracks. So I
Oh well,
mean,
good. Yeah.
yeah, she's come a long way in that regard. So
Yeah, that's good. I mean, so her feet are still better than when you first got her.
oh
That's
yeah,
helping
oh
her
yeah,
physically,
and she doesn't fit into the boots that she was wearing 2 3 years ago.
They're bigger.
Her feet are bigger. Yep.
See, so that's good in and of itself as well,
Right.
you know. Yeah, boy, these horn tubules really, really curve and go out. And then that's the medial side of the same. See, not just a little different. I'm looking at that. This side's worse, I think. As usual, lateral side always seems to be worse. The good thing is though, she's still got a pretty straight hairline here. you know, and the frog stay has not been pulled totally under the foot or nothing yet. So that looks good back there. All right, well, we're back around. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or?
I don't think so. Not right now. I'll take another set of pictures after when I get back out to the barn when I finally can get there.
Okay.
Because I rather suspect that her feet are going to be much different when they're out in the snow and getting wet
yeah,
again.
it's going to be good for them. Plus, that snow wears off those soles.
Yeah.
It's abrasive.
Although they've been in dirt all winter.
Uh-huh.
So it's been a weird winter.
Yeah, but you know, snow, hopefully you get some snow and
Oh,
it'll
we've got like over a foot on the ground right now and it's still coming.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh wow, okay. Well, good. And you're in Minnesota?
Northeast Minnesota, about 60
That's right.
miles from the Canadian border.
Minnesota.
Up into Northland.
Up in the Northland. Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Well, good
Thank
luck,
you,
dear
Linda.
friend. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, dear. Okay, so who wants to talk about something or show some horses feed or ask some questions or do something? Share something?
Hi, can you hear
Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
me? Hi. I'm actually pretty new to your group. Probably like 6 months ago I found it.
Okay, great.
But I'm still learning, but I really want you to look at my cousin's horse's feet.
You bet.
I sent you some pictures. Let me know if you got them.
Okay.
On Messenger.
Just a second here. Ta-dum. Move some stuff around. Okay.
I don't have a lot of older pictures of his feet because, well, I have like not very good ones, like they're far away.
Okay.
Because we didn't really focus on the feet because, you know, we thought the farrier knew what they were supposed to do, which clearly is the wrong thing. They were taught the wrong thing, but he has had, I wrote it in there, but I'll just say it again for everybody else. He, since he was like 5 years old, he's 8 now. He got diagnosed with navicular disease, pretty severe navicular disease. I actually have the MRIs, which I can send you if you want.
Okay.
Oh, and
I'm trying to get your message up here.
Oh,
could you say that again? Because I was trying to get your message up here and get it in.
Oh, okay. I said that when he was 5 years old, he got diagnosed with navicular disease.
Okay.
Which was pretty severe, and especially his right front, and the left front, it kind of was a little bit better. And he was also diagnosed with a navicular cyst. I don't know how long after the first diagnosis he got the cyst, and then he also got deep digital flexor tendon lesions on both front feet. So he's been being trimmed by the same guy since he was like 3. How old was he?
Yeah.
Since he was 3. Yeah, since he was 3 until like about 8. He was trimmed by the same guy. And he just wasn't, he would never was really actually fully sound for like probably more than like a month. And so I started learning about you guys. And one day, this is before I actually learned about you guys, he pulled his right front shoe and he was completely sound. He was more sound than he'd ever been since he was like 5 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was like, something's wrong, something's up, like there's a reason. And that's how I kind of like dove into learning about the feet, and then I thank God found you guys. So
yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah,
because you don't want to go the other direction too far either.
Yeah, so
you know,
I started looking into you guys, and I slowly started telling my family about it. And I was like, listen, like she's teaching things that I don't even think the farriers know this stuff. And
yeah, unfortunately.
and so we pulled that shoe, we fired the farrier, got a new farrier, and when they first came out here, I was like, well, why don't you just take the shoes off? And they were like, okay, we'll do that. So they took the shoes off, and the first 3 pictures I have are when we were about 3 days after he got his shoes taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like doing really, really good. Like he was more sound than he's been. And after a while, they were like, he was getting a little bit less sound on his left front. So let's put him into steel shoes. So put him back into steel shoes. And then we were like, well, his left front was a little bit more run forward than the right one. And we were like, well, maybe we can try to put a wedge on there, because with another horse that we have who's really, really run forward feet, like terribly, we did a wedge and a pack on her foot, because there's no way that I think that she could go barefoot and be like comfortable. So I was like, well, maybe that would work for him. I don't know. And I mean, we can just try it out. So when they go to put the wedge on and they test his frog, they're like, he does not want any pressure on the frog, like no pressure at all. Which now I know why. It's because it's pushing the digital cushion into the navicular bone.
Yeah.
And it's irritating it. And they're like, we don't know why this is happening. I'm like, I think I know. So we put the wedge on, and he is just lame. He does not want to walk on the wedge. And I was thinking about it. I was like, why could this have happened? And let me know if I'm on the right track here. But I was thinking that in the back of the foot, because when he doesn't have the wedge on, the picture I took where they just trimmed it, because I took before they put the shoes on, just them trimming it, just see how they trim the foot. And I feel like maybe the wedge is like forcing, just putting so much pressure on the back of the foot, which already has a run forward heel, and is there and pushing that back of the internal foot into his navicular bone and tendons.
Yeah. Well, you can look at when you look at the back, okay, his bulbs are pulled clear down to the ground here. In a minute, I want to show you a picture I found today of a horse to see. They take away everything from here, and then it gets forced into the toe, if that makes sense. As they're reducing, like, see the way that's pulled down?
Yeah.
Okay, that should be straight out back here.
Yeah.
And so everything here is being pulled down, just like you say, and forced in that way. It's everything in front of it has to go somewhere. It's not like it was hollow, so it's got all that, like the digital cushion and everything there. So so this is all being forced forward into that navicular bone right there. And just the fact that it's even being forced down like that is painful. He's being forced to, the cartilages are bent, and there's so much pressure, like just, those digital cushions, they are so fatty, and like fat, we know that fat, you press it in, it wants to push back out, right? And so there's so much pressure going on in the back of that foot, in that whole area. And look at the difference. Look at the difference in this foot compared to the shape of this foot. Like even this foot has some heel, but this one, where'd that heel go? It is run forward because the more you trim them out, okay, it changes the angle of the horn tubules. And so now all the horn tubules are forced forward. which you can't see real good because, of course, the difference between a farrier and what the trimmer did to Marilyn's horse is the trimmer just really beveled the toe.
Mm-hmm.
The farriers thin the whole wall down to make it look like it's not beveled or make it look like there isn't a flare there.
Yeah.
And so this whole foot is actually flared, but it's been rasped down to look like it's not flared.
Mm-hmm.
See, now not as bad on this foot. Even the shape of the cartilage is different on the medial side of this foot. I'm gonna enlarge this. Well, you know, everything that you're saying and what you're seeing is correct. Everything's being forced and compressed into that foot into the navicular bone.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then that's going to affect the deep digital flexor tendon. You know,
Yeah.
let's see, where did I just put that picture? Oh, maybe it's down here.
And then another thing that I saw in these pictures that I kind of was like, I don't know what what to think of this, but I sent 3 pictures in the beginning of when he first got those shoes off, and I have like the picture of the back of the foot, and the left foot, it like looks like the cartilage is like released more like outward, but the frog is like falling down. And then I look at this new picture and it looks like that just is gone. Like it just like where did everything there go? And I was like, this is crazy.
So which new picture are you talking about? Is this a new picture that we're looking at?
This is a recent picture from last week. So go back out to the messages, and I sent the first 3 that I sent. There's no other view than the both lateral
Oh,
views.
I see.
Yeah. That is when he first got the shoes taken off.
Uh-huh.
That's like 3 days after, so they kind of expanded a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't have pictures from after that, but they expanded even more after we had some rain. But.
See, they've taken all his heel off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've made this. They've taken all this heel off and then rasped and thinned down the wall even more. Because look, he had pretty decent cartilage here.
Yeah.
The main thing that was going on was this part of the buttress is not grown in the way it is, and all of this here is too long. See, this goes back to those horn tubules again. Too much foot in here, and then some of this trimmed out.
Yeah.
Just a minute. See, I had that one example of horn tubules, how they're supposed to be. So these needed to be shortened up and taken out and worked out so that all these horn tubules would be in alignment. And then this part down here, you can see how it curves down.
Mm-hmm.
This part had to be grown in to lift up the back of that foot. Just a minute. Yeah. You know, what a waste. You know,
very true.
All this stuff that's going on for these poor horses now for 250 years, all because of vet schools. Because once you make an error in anything in academics, and then you write it in your book, it's worse. It might as well be written in stone. You know, those guys aren't going to back up on it no matter what. And so all of this, I'm going to show this picture just a minute. Trying to remember what I put it under. Hold on. Now I'm lost. And we're going to look at what this horse's feet should look like. We're going to compare. Just a second here. Got so many things open. Let me get rid of some stuff here. Close that. Just a minute, I gotta close some windows here. Okay. Okay, hold on here. Sorry, but I had like a million windows open and couldn't find nothing. So
It's okay.
let's see. Go to pictures. And H.
This is fixable.
Okay. Look at this guy. Let's see. Oh, new share. Okay, so before the vet schools opened in the 1750s, this would have been the 17th century, which is the 1600s. Here is a horse. He ain't that big a horse, you know. He's pretty sturdy, but he's not that big a horse. And let's just look at his feet. See the hairline almost straight across and the good amount of heel wall in here. Even has a little bit of an arch in the sides. And guess what? He's barefoot. So you find in a lot of these old paintings, the horses did not have shoes on. See?
Yeah.
So that horse should have feet at least that big, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff. I thought this was really an interesting depiction of the kind of horses they rode and of what their feet were like. See that hairline almost straight across.
Mm-hmm.
There. Now, he didn't really draw in a good amount of cartilage there, but I'm sure the horse probably had it. Let's go back to I'm gonna here I got some more on horn tube. I'm just gonna open it up for a second because that's what you're dealing with on this horse too. Is they trimmed out the heels and then all the horn tubules ran forward and they're holding the foot in that position.
Mm-hmm.
So just a minute. Keep losing where I'm at. There we go. Okay, so what you're seeing here is kind of what's going on with them, like more like this, right here.
Yeah.
Okay, these are different ways the foot can be. This is the way it's supposed to be, right here. This, you see how short the heel wall is there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you see how long that is? Even though it's in the capsule, it's not supposed to be. If I was to take it back and it was to stand up here, that's going to work a lot of that. It gets trimmed out as you relieve it and it starts moving back. But at the same time, you got to be growing this area, growing this whole area. So eventually, all these come back and stand up and this area grows and then it'll lift the whole back of that foot. And this part of the foot that's pulled under like this and pushing up into that navicular bone, gradually that all unwraps and comes up like so.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at some things here. Here's an example of my horse's foot. and how this piece here had grown in there into that capsule.
Wow.
And so as I relieved it here, as the back grew, and even more than just the back, actually my heel was pretty decent,
Mhm.
but it needed, why was it underrun? Because this area was holding it forward. See how big that is?
Wow, that's crazy.
And so as I beveled it and as it moved, it was able to move back by giving it ground room to move. Because again, the whole foot wants to move back to where it's supposed to be. It's being forced and stretched forward to where it doesn't want to be. And again, I give the example of the nose on your face. When you push it over to the side, it don't want to be there. Okay, because it's not anatomically correct, and that's the way cartilage and fat works. And so this whole foot wants to be more like this, but then this was in 2016, and at that time I didn't know yet that the cartilages were bound up too. So this was still a false version of my horse's foot without me knowing it. Later, as I grew in the cartilages, and then we got some rain, and the back of the foot kind of burst out, I was like, oh, well, okay, there's more here to know. So again, as a person relieves this, and as all this grows and wants to pull out and straighten it up, you wind up trimming off actually that much as it's gradually moving back, and you keep beveling the sides. So anyways, okay, so let's go back and look at your horse's feet again. It's your cousin's horse's feet?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does she want to do?
She rides Western Pleasure with him and Hunter in her saddle. She hopes to be able to do it again. When he was sound, when he had no shoes on, she actually was able to ride him pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last time when we did our little experiment, that's when he went lame, and now he's back in his shoes, and he's still kind of like a little bit lame. So maybe the forces of having that wedge on just like really irritated the internal foot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I also think it's from them just trimming the heel out again.
Well, it is, and all these heels are different. I'm looking for, so I can, let's see. Well, I got to go back and find him. Hold on. I got to go find, oh, here he is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, his feet were better here than they were what they're doing with him now. So you cut the heel off just so you can add a wedge pad. How much sense did that make? But that's the kind of stuff they do all the time. And poor people, I mean, look at that foot.
Yeah.
This foot was in a place where if somebody would have known what they were doing, they could have brought it along and helped it out a lot. Got good heel here. Relieving this here and working like what I just told you, this foot could have really shaped up. Because this foot, even on the medial side, was pretty decent. So kind of what they're getting you into now is a high-low.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh, go ahead.
My aunt's listening here because my cousin's not here, so she's here listening.
Hi. So
But
a high-low is where you got one foot that's high that they haven't totally trimmed the heels out of, and then one foot that's low where they've totally trimmed the heels out. So it'd be like you wearing a moccasin, and a hiking boot.
Yeah.
Well, they always, our farrier, when he started doing this horse when he was 3 years old, he said that he's a high-low. and that happens when they're little because they are it's the grazing foot.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, no, it happened because they trimmed him that way because of the biomechanics of that person's body. Okay, that when they did this foot, because look, okay, right foot, I'll bet it's mostly a right foot too, because if you're right-handed, your body mechanics and your eyeballs and everything else are a certain way. It's sure easier to trim off this outer heel more. Okay, just because of the body mechanics. That by the time you move over here, you have a different mechanical situation going on, and so what happens is, another thing that happens is when you trim this heel out more, it starts pulling the bulb down like this and pulling things forward, and it winds up when a farrier will sight down a foot. They'll trim it and then they'll kind of back up and hold the foot and sight down from side to side. Well, there's this weird thing that goes on. Maybe you call it an anomaly or illusion or something like that. And it will make this heel look higher. Even though you've been trimming out and it's been being pulled down and forward, it's been pulling this, it looks higher than the other heel. And so then they keep trimming it lower every time. And the more they trim it low, the more they reduce the size of the hoof capsule, the more they pull the bulb down and under. And so it's not true. This side really isn't higher. It's actually lower. And then you have this imbalance where the horse, a lot of times he's standing then on a slant. You think that side's high, but that side's really low. And then is he pigeon-toed in front? Does this foot turn in that way at all?
I don't think so. I sent you the front view pictures of recently, so maybe.
Yeah, it does. Look at there.
Oh.
Well, that's the left foot. That's the left. Well, they both do. But look how much that foot turns in that way. See, this heel, well, let's see. That's the right foot. Okay. And do you see how that bulb is pulled down and over that way, and how it's turned, it's twisted and twerked the whole foot counterclockwise around like this. See? And so and just this hairline being pulled down like that, it's not supposed to be like that at all. It should be clear up here, clear up like that.
Yeah.
See,
if you look at that was when he first got the shoes off, and what I was talking about before is like how I was like, what is going on with the new trim? The back of the foot is like that part of the cartilage, even though it's like falling out of the back of the foot, it like looks like, it's, you could work with it. But now when I look at the new pictures, it's like, where did all of that expansion that was there just go? Like, it just looks like it just got sucked inside.
I'm gonna look for the new picture here.
Okay. I think it's two.
Is that it?
I think I have a better one. It might be near the trim, like the trim. Okay. That's the left front. Yeah.
Are we looking at the left front or the right? Well, we were just looking at the left front. Okay.
Yeah, this is the left front from the bird's eye view.
Okay. Okay, so you see how this side is more upright, but that side is pulled forward?
Yeah.
See? And if we were to take and turn it over, this side's going to look lower or higher. Ah. Let's see. Watch. Just a minute. Save image. Let me get this and then turn it over. Where are we at? this will look higher, and they will constantly take this side down, which only makes it worse and worse and worse, which trims it out and starts. See, once you take that heel buttress out, that is the stabilizer, okay,
Mhm.
then all the foot can do is it wants to push forward because it's not stable. Now, he hasn't flared out too much, but what's happening is this hoof capsule is twisting around like that. You can really see it where he's standing. That in itself is gonna eventually make you semi-lame. Your foot is twisted and forced around into a pigeon-toed, quirked kind of way. Just a minute here. Let's see. Where are we? New share.
Where you center so we can see on your phone.
Okay, so there's the foot. Now let's see, the heels are not the same. And see how that one's slanted forward, but this one's straight up and down. And the horn tubules here are straight up and down, but these ones are going like that way. Just a minute here.
Yeah.
Okay, see how that'll look higher
Oh.
when it's really
Yep.
lower?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because
Yeah.
we looked at the picture from behind and we saw that this was pulled down lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but now it looks higher. And so
Wow.
so they wind up getting worse and worse and worse because when the farrier is sighting down the heels, he sees this side as higher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And
Yeah.
so here's another thing. So all this is being pulled down into a smaller capsule, and the frogs stay. Even though you see this periopal here, in
Mm-hmm.
reality, that frog, well, what happens to the frog corium that's growing that frog when all of this is being pulled under? You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's being deformed and distorted in some weird way as well.
Yeah.
See? And so, I mean, this just looks really stressed and really pulled down. Like it just shouldn't really look like that. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the pictures. This is really an interesting case. What's going on with him?
Yeah. We're like, oh.
Let's see. New share. We'll go back to here. Okay, so let's go now. Remember, this side looks high when you're looking down at it, but then when it's on the
Mm-hmm.
ground, let's see what it looks like. Well, and look here, see where the hairline is here?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's lower over here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Which foot see, I get confused. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't write anything on it. That's the left front.
Is
Yes.
the left foot.
Yes.
Okay. See, and here's another thing that happens is because when we hold these feet and we're looking at the heels, we're looking at them as if they are directly straight across from one another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like so. But in
Yeah.
reality, one heel is way ahead of the other.
Yeah.
Okay, but then we start trimming. Look at the blood in the toe right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they land. See, because they're landing like this. Wait a minute. Let me get to annotate. They're not landing straight. Let me get a different color. Hold on. Let me see. Undo. Okay. Okay, so they're not landing straight like this. Okay, like you would want them to land like if their heels were straight across from one another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In reality, they really aren't landing like that. Okay, and breaking over in the center.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing is they're landing, even though this looks straight, in reality, this foot is more like that. Okay,
Yeah.
and they are really landing like this. That direction.
Oh.
See?
Yeah. And that's why he has the blood in the toe, because
Yeah.
that's where his breakover is.
Yeah. So, and again, that's all from this heel got over trimmed over time. Usually it always happens on the lateral heel, but on occasion you'll see it on the medial, the opposite
Mhm.
way, and they'll toe out. See?
Hmm.
So he's toeing in, even though it may not look like it, because what
Mhm.
happens is, like when I did this, okay, I assumed these heels were straight across from one another. And so I trimmed the foot as if it was straight. So my trim made it look like what you see here.
Mm-hmm.
It looked normal, but in reality, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, undo. Okay, well, let's look at it. Did you take some pictures from the front?
Yes. Go back a little bit, and I think my ground view or back foot pictures are also a little bit more.
Oops.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, nope. Oh, well, here's one.
Yes. That's after he got the shoe on.
Okay.
And that's the right. I think the left is a little bit.
Yeah, the right one's black. That's how I remember.
Okay, so that's the left. You know, it's hard to tell here, but one thing you can see is that this toe wants to flare here.
Yeah.
You know,
The
because
left
it's
one,
being
the
pushed
left front
forward.
view, I think the left front view is a little bit, or I think it'd go back in the pictures.
Okay, let me see.
Oh, there it is, the white one. Yep, go over left a little bit. Oh, you missed it.
Oh,
Down, down.
that one?
Oh, wait, yes, there you go. Oh, yeah, it does turn in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. See, I can
Wow.
enlarge that. Now, which again was his worst foot?
It used to be the right, but now the left is showing more than the right.
Okay. But which one did he have the navicular legion or both
Oh,
of
the
them or
left.
one?
I mean, the
Right.
right, the right.
The right?
The
Yes.
black hoof.
Okay.
That's the one he had the cyst in
Mm-hmm.
and way more navicular changes than the left.
Okay. So that's the high foot?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. New share. I mean, you can just see that he's not standing right in either foot, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do?
That's why we're talking to you.
Well, our idea was, we took him out of the wedge and we put him back in a shoe because obviously the foot has no heel, and I didn't want to stress the back of, or I stress his tendons too much and force him to walk on the frog. So
Yeah.
they put him back in the shoe, and I was thinking maybe keep the shoe on for until he grows a little bit more heel out, and then back into barefoot and see if we can manipulate the foot more to stand back up.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like a good idea. Hold on here.
When you look at this from the front, in the left, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. What?
Oh, I was talking to my aunt, but in the left front, the one with the run forward heel, which is the lateral one, it looks like it's just like pushing, it's flaring out, and then it's like pushing the whole capsule back over to the medial side, and then maybe that's why the medial side has a flare in the bar, because the bar is being bent instead of being put forward. Well, it's also being bent.
Weird. This looks weird. There's so much more going on over here.
Yeah, on the
And then
lateral side.
on this side, yeah.
Yeah, and see, a lot of it gets, some of it gets disguised by the way they dress down the wall. You know, they call that dressing down the wall and stuff, because it dresses it up to look like something other than it is. But another thing that does, though, is that weakens the wall so that everything can push in different directions better, because the outer layer, the periople and the outer outer horn tubules, which they call the stratum externum, the outer horn tubules are the hardest and the most numerous, and they're what help keep and maintain the shape of the foot. And so with all the other stuff going on and what they do to the back of the foot and pushing all that anatomy and cramming it up in there, then when they take and they keep dressing down these walls and dressing them down and thinning them down, well, that just weakens another part of the foot. See, and they do it because they say, well, that's how you remove a flare. No, that's how you make a flare look like it's not there. See, that's all you're doing. You're not removing it. Because like my horse, when because I did barefoot trimming, had a whole hodgepodge of all those methods, from 2005 to 2014, and my horse kept getting more unsound. But you know what? I never told anybody that. Okay, because because at one point I realized it, but at another point I didn't. All right, because, and it wasn't that I was purposely trying to be dishonest, but you're told so many things. I mean, the farriers have all kinds of excuses for why horses' feet are the way they are that are not true. They don't know it's not true. Okay, now we can prove this historically. All right, everything I'm saying here can be proved historically. This is not just my opinion. And so then when the barefoot trimming came along, based on what was supposed to be natural, whatever, okay, and then things weren't working out, well, they started coming up with excuses as well. Mostly, it was what your horse is eating. Okay, then when hoof clinics weren't panning out, then they had to go to whole horse clinics. You know, so that you're just spending more and more money and stuff like that. And so all these excuses are not true. And so in 2014, because I kept thinking, man, this wild horse quality foot, this natural perfect foot with no shoes, is just around the corner. I thought for years that foot was just around the corner, because see, I grew up in Wyoming and I was around horses off and on all my life out there. So I fully understood that this is the theory is right. I know it is. But then when it didn't wind up being right on my horse, you know, I started thinking, well, it's the method, it's what I'm doing or something. It's me. I never blamed the horse. I never thought it was really what he ate or nothing. I figured I must be doing something wrong. But I was doing exactly what they told me to do. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have that all documented. So in the end, what I found out was that their research was faulty and incorrect. And so then I finally figured out in January of 2016, oh, we've been led to trim the heels out of all these horses. See, and that's what causes all of this, both with the barefoot trimming and with the farriers, that it is historical. So, if you like to research and you like to read, you should read Henry Hamerling's research paper called The Proper Hoof Angle. Have
I
you
already
heard me
did.
talk about
I already read it.
that?
Yeah.
Good. Then you see it, right?
Yeah.
You know how this got, that's wonderful. I'm glad you read that. And anybody else that's listening, you need to read that, The Proper Hoof Angle, because it is this very thing that was introduced into the vet schools in the 1750s by Philip Lafosse, a Frenchman, where before that, they kept good heels on all their horses. After that, they started trimming the heels out of these horses, and that's what I want to do. I want to do like a class on hoof history to show exactly what they did. Because just the little information I've gotten out there, and even Henry Hamerling, listening to him, because here's the deal you need to know. Okay, so he did that research paper in 1990.
Wow.
Jamie Jackson, who was one of the two main guys that did the barefoot movement, go back to this natural trim your horse like a wild horse thing, and they didn't know each other. And that was Gene Obenik, who was a farrier in Montana. And then Jamie Jackson, who was a farrier in, I don't know, Arkansas, Mississippi, somewhere. And so it was these two men that were the primary instigators of a trim based on wild horse research. But their research is diametrically opposed to one another, but nobody realizes it. And like I said, these two guys didn't even know each other. And so Jamie Jackson, Gene Obenik, he developed a whole system of shoeing and trimming from his research. Jamie Jackson developed a barefoot trim. But the thing about it was his book wasn't written till 1992. So Henry Hamerling wrote his research, and in his research, he said that it was, he talked about how for hundreds of years, they've been trimming the heels out of these horses and the great damage it was causing. And he said, but he was glad that in the past 25 years, they had started, gosh, I'm looking for the right words. They were not doing that anymore. They were allowing horses to have their heels, and he was very glad about that. At the same time he's saying this, he doesn't realize that he also talks to Jamie Jackson in this research article. He talked to him on the phone about his research with no idea that Jamie Jackson was going to introduce the very thing he was talking against in his article. See,
Wow.
now, and that's what you need to know when you read that, because otherwise it gets confusing, because as you read his article, you'll see where he lists all these different writers and resource whatever. And then it gets to Jamie Jackson, and he had no idea that Jackson was going to promote totally taking heels down to a centimeter.
Wow.
See? So that's something you need to add to your understanding of reading Hamerling's research paper. And so every advance in the 25 years leading up to that any farriers have made in, growing the heels back in these horses, Jamie Jackson, in his opinions, decimated. and made worse than it was before. So, but that's, that was his research. Now, I'm not dissing him to say that's what his research did, because all you got to do is go to his book and see that he said all wild horses had heels all wild horses that he studied had 1 centimeter heels. That's virtually impossible. Okay, back then there were no pictures of wild horse feet. Okay, Gene, here's the thing. Gene Obenek did the same kind of research. Okay, they both worked with BLM when they'd run wild horses in, and then go up there while they're strung out, supposedly. Okay, and I know Gene Obenek did it. He has a multitude of pictures. Jackson don't. So I don't know what the deal is there. So Gene Obenek, in the photos of the wild horse hooves he took, they all had heels. A good inch to 2 inches. All right.
Yeah.
In the one specimen of Jackson's, he's got a horse that totally wore its heel out. 1 centimeter, and claims that all wild horses have 1 centimeter heel. So now, through the barefoot movement, not only, and so this turned into a deal where, 1 centimeter heels so you can have frog contact. Okay, and this spread back into the farrier movement to where then they started taking down the heels again, which then starts deforming the feet on these horses again. See, so we need to do, I want to do a full-on historical webinar on this whole subject. See?
Yeah.
So then going in and then into Bracy Clark, who saw how this was decimating the horses of his day. See,
Yeah.
and here's what's the interesting thing. So now you have farriers and you have barefooters. I don't know if you read very much. Oh, but they'll quote, whose name I can never pronounce, Xenophon.
Yeah.
They'll quote him as if his conclusions agree with them, when it is the exact opposite. And they will quote Bracy Clark in the same way, when their actual words and conclusions totally 100% refute what is taught. Now, isn't that interesting? You see how people get deceived?
Yep.
See? So anyway, so these horses, there's the only thing wrong with this horse was the guy trimming his feet. That's it. He was not born that way, and of course this is just one of the millions of cases that's going on in the world, sad to say, that the barefoot movement made it worse. And you know one reason why it's worse? Because now, instead of your hoof care practitioner killing your horse, they're going to teach you how to kill your own. See?
I almost did. I was learning ABC hoof care, and then I found you guys, and I was like, that's going in the trash.
Thank you. I'm glad. See, I understand all these. Okay, I'm not bragging. I'm not saying anything. This is disgusting. Okay, I researched history. I was a history fanatic. Also researched the Bible. I mean, if you want to talk about deception and delusion in an industry over what something really says or is really like, I researched history. I researched the Bible. I researched this kind of stuff, looking for what is the truth about things, and so that there's such a delusion in this industry that they are so deluded and so deceived. It's ridiculous. But you know why it is? Because when you get something taught in a school, try and get those people to change their mind. You know, try and change academia. All right. Once it's taught in a school, once it's written down, then it's a matter of pride and ego and man's arrogance. And I mean, it takes, I don't know what it takes to change people. You
Very
know?
true.
So
We have to figure it out.
Anyway.
My farrier or our farrier, I don't tell them everything that I've learned, but I kind of try to see what they'll say if I like bring up certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a mistake. I let them trim my Yep. I let them trim my like 9-month-old full, and because I didn't have any nippers yet, and I was like, the toe's getting too long, it's gonna pull everything forward. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm just gonna have them like trim it just a little bit, like trim the toe off.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do when I'm not looking? They trim the heel, and I'm like, I told you to leave that, and they didn't. So I'm like, you know what? I'm trimming her from now on. But I just like, I mean, I don't know why. Like, I know why they think the way they do, but when I ask them certain things, they'll legitimately tell me I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like,
why don't you want to find out?
Yeah, why don't you want to find out? Why don't you want to listen to different people? Like, I don't understand, but I don't know. I'm gonna try to get them to change a little bit if I can, but if not, then I'll do it on my own.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to learn to do it on your own. Like, how old are you?
21.
Oh heck.
You're just
I am
a kid.
68.
I'm 78.
Yeah, Marilyn is 78.
Wow.
Out of self-defense, we had to do this. Do we do perfect job? Do we whatever? But it's still better than what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, at least we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey,
but
and you're
see,
teaching me, and I want to change.
Yeah, these
stuff,
are men. Most of them are men. Okay, but it's the fact of what they're taught in their schools. Okay, they're never really given a big reason for stuff, and if they are given a reason, it's some blown out big bunch of garbage. See, that's interesting. That's what Bracy Clark says in the preface. See, nobody ever reads the preface to a book. Introduction, preface, whatever you want to call it. In the preface to his book, he says it became obvious to him that the reason given Farrier Smiths were given for contracted heels was not real. Okay, in other words, it was a lie. He's just being diplomatic there. It's not real. It was a lie. And so he started researching, and he found out that the whole thing went back to frog pressure, the belief in frogs pressure and trimming the heels out of these horses. And that's what causes all these problems. So these, here's another problem. Okay, so these men, and yes, there are women too, this is their profession. Oh my goodness, tell a man in his profession that he may be in error and not know what he's doing.
Okay? Good luck.
Okay. That's not going to happen because see, they're not dependent on you for a living. Okay, they can drop you like that, and then they go to all these other people. See, and so because of this thing just perpetuates itself, because of the academics, because of the schools, because it's a man's profession, and even women, they're the same way, sometimes worse. Okay. And there's so much arrogance and ego and indoctrination in these people. And this is a lot like I said, what's his name? Ignaz Schimmelweiss, the guy that is responsible for doctors washing their hands. Okay, Ignaz Schimmelweiss, back in the 1800s, figured out that the reason women and babies were dying in droves, was because these medical doctors were going over and dissecting cadavers at the school and walking across the street to the hospital and examining their patients or delivering babies. Then they still have these germs on their hands. And these germs gave these women, I don't know the full technical name of it, but they called it childbed fever. And so he figured out that maybe this was a connection. And so he took some of his students and some of the doctors, and because he was running this one hospital kind of, and he made them really super wash their hands with chlorine and all kinds of stuff. And the deaths went down, way down. But you know what? Those doctors did not want to believe him. They laughed him to scorn. They fired him. And he wound up dying in a nut house. That's what.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because he just couldn't take it. You know, that these academics and these professionals refused to even consider the truth and kept killing women and babies.
Wow.
See? But his idea eventually did take hold, and that is the only reason now that doctors wash their hands. Like, have you been to the hospital? Have you seen those signs now? Ask your doctor if he's washed his hands. Anybody ever seen that?
No, I haven't seen that.
You know,
I've seen that.
Yeah.
because he realized it wasn't just dirty hands; it was hands that handled a cadaver.
Yeah.
So see, those men in that field, it took a lot for them to finally change in that area. And it's going to take that in this area too.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So anyway, it's a sad deal, because it's like a religion.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that way to a lot of people, even if people aren't professionals. I don't know if you ever noticed, but you even start to talk to some horse owners about it, and they get this glazed over deer in the headlight look, you know, of some cult member, you know, to where they don't even want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, that's nuts, because it ought to be science, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that's happened is because the barefoot movement did stir things up, then some of the top of the line farriers and vets went to work to disprove it all, and to prove that a lot of their errors were still the truth and stuff. So that happened as well.
Wow. I sent you another picture of when his foot was trimmed by the old farrier before they took the shoes off, just so you could see how tiny his foot was. Like, it's honestly like astonishing, because he's like, maybe 16 hands, 15.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, he ought to have good big feet.
Yeah.
He said it was genetics why his foot was getting smaller.
Oh yeah.
His foot was getting smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the genetics.
And my daughter's like looking at him like, he had 5 heads. What are you talking about?
Because that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's genetics, and his foot's getting smaller.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
and I
see.
found all the pictures when we bought him, how big his foot was and how much more heel he had when we bought him.
That's terrible. See, oh, am I sharing here?
Oh, no.
There we go. Yeah, that's terrible.
Just looks.
Look how tiny, smashed.
Oh, that's my, what I thought his foot should maybe
Good
look
for
like.
you, working on that, doing a markup. And see, I would have. You're doing it. You're doing a good job. Only thing I'd say, and it took me some time, and I still don't do it right, is exactly how big that foot is behind is even more so.
Wow.
You know, because see that how that's pulled down, and then it's
Yeah.
even pulled and probably turned in and under. If the whole thing expands, it's probably going to be clear out to here.
Wow.
See, they just the
Okay.
back of their feet is actually really massive.
Mm-hmm.
More so than we ever thought. You know, and you really see it in some of these wild horses that where their feet never got bound and they're just in the right climate. They're huge back here, and I know these horses have to have that for to
Mm-hmm.
hold all that weight for as
Yeah.
big as they are. You know, yeah, heel first landing, but you're trimming the heels out of them. See, this is like ridiculous.
Mhm.
But they
Yeah.
don't. But we didn't know. I didn't know I was trimming the heels out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, see, nobody knows that's what's happening. The horse's foot is probably the most deceptive thing, really, because how they can just reduce and adapt and adapt and adapt
Mhm.
and look like just a smaller version of their self.
Yeah.
You can actually trim them out to where you've trimmed up to one half of the foot out.
Wow.
The size of the foot, because especially if the foot bends and then the hoof capsule stays attached, but the whole foot bends. See,
Mm-hmm.
and then that capsule grows to that size. Then you can trim them out to where they have a foot that looks like a can.
Hmm.
See, so. Well, poor guy. Well, so are you going to try and fix him?
Yes, to the best of my ability, yes.
Now, how old is he?
He's 9 this year.
Already 9?
Yeah.
See, he's just getting in his prime even.
Yeah.
He can be fixed.
That's what
You
I
know,
keep telling
I can't promise you can do it, but I know he can be fixed. You know,
Thanks. Yeah.
the thing about it is you're nice and young. So you should be able to learn all of this. See, his heels are contracted too. See that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're pulled together.
Yeah.
So this is the new one, right?
Yes, that's
See,
most
and
recent.
this just looks weird here. This whole thing that's going on here. So yeah, you think about it, how all that anatomy back here is just being pulled together and pulled under
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
compressed.
I don't know if anybody else wants to show any feet, but I do have another one of my cousin's horses, who I actually have been trimming I was
Okay.
trimming his feet before the farriers came out,
Okay.
and I thought it was a good like it's like kind of like Maryland's horse, where when you said the tubules in front of the heel are like being pulled forward and then they're pushing up into the hairline, but then the back of the hairline is like falling down because of that. So I thought that was kind of interesting that he kind of has that same thing going on.
Okay.
And I'll have to tell you which foot is what, because I kind of drew little lines all over them, so I can erase
That's
those.
good. That's good. I'm glad you're doing that, because all that's going to teach you, you know, stuff and how to look at the feet and different things like that. That's good you're doing that.
Cool. This is when I trimmed his feet probably like 5 days before the farrier came. And I don't have any nippers. I only have a rasp and a knife.
Mm-hmm.
So he used to have like right where my lines are, he had like a pushed up hairline there.
Okay.
So I trimmed the quarters down pretty good. And I was kind of doing it gradually over a couple of days because I'm just starting to get into trimming.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
good.
want to see how it changes.
Yeah.
So this was my like final trim of him before the farriers came, and it's pretty crazy to see just how like you're talking about our biomechanics, depending on how we trim the horse. I thought I was trimming down the other side more than this side, but I trimmed this side down and allowed the hairline to come down while the other side is still pushed up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. But also the medial side is the heel is more run forward also, I think. So
Okay.
That's after they trimmed him.
Oh, they just love taking that heel out.
That's what I said.
See how they brought it clear down to the bulb?
Yeah.
Because this is the image that is being put in people's heads because of the barefoot movement, which is, just a second here. It's like a little triangle. See? That's the image put in people's heads right there. And so whatever image is put in your head, because you're like a sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So without knowing all these ins and outs and details of the anatomy and structure of this foot, because see, I did this. I kept trying to get this foot on my horse.
Yeah.
And he would never let me. Anytime I would get it like this in a trim, then I'd come back out. By the next trim, it looked like this. You know?
Yeah.
So guess what I do? I come up here, I take that off just like that. Okay? And the next time I come out, there we go.
It's an endless cycle.
Because there's this is just the capsule. He's got a real foot in here that wants to be clear up here like this. Okay? And so all this is cartilage and then internal fat that is forced into here. And there is so much pressure going on inside of this foot wanting to release that when you trim the heel out like that, over time, it can happen in a couple days. His foot's going to stand up anyway. And as it does so, you see this piece of wall here?
Yeah.
It takes that and it curls it around behind so that the foot raises it up, okay? And then this piece of wall here, this part gets curled behind.
Yeah.
This comes up, and then there you go. That's a false heel.
Yeah.
See?
I like the picture that you had in one past hoof chat where it was like that white horse with the little black dot on his foot. And I think that showed it really severely of how it like pulled around within like 3 days.
Yeah, the cartilages. Let's see here. Well, let's finish looking at your horse's feet here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
I think the craziest part of his foot, obviously they trimmed the heel out, but from the front view, it like looks like his foot like just like it was a little can that just smashed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's after they trimmed it.
They did this?
Yeah. And then I have I think further down the line is when I had trimmed him, I took a front view picture. Mm-hmm. And it just looked like, even though it was really long in the toe, it just looked like stable. I was like, huh.
Now,
this is when I trimmed him. And this was when I was saying how he's like pushed up in the hairline. And I kept thinking I'm trimming down this side. I'm trimming it down. And then I put the foot down and take a picture. I'm like, it's on the floor. So.
And when was this? Or what
That's
is
after
this?
that's after they trimmed it. That's just the picture without my little lines all over it.
Wow. Well, I mean, look at that. See the image that's been put in their head?
Yeah.
Triangle.
You know?
And that's when I trimmed it, and that's the front view.
Okay. See how his pillars are pushed up here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I wish you all the luck in the world. Yeah, but you
Thanks.
got more than luck because you're going to have some knowledge. See?
Yeah. Thanks
And
to you.
so that's going to help you. I mean, uh, you cannot do worse than they did. In fact, you can do better.
Thanks.
You know, but it's a long road to hope.
Yeah.
Road to hope. And just takes a lot of commitment and sticking with it. And, we'll learn more as we go along. And because I still make mistakes, I make wrong judgment calls, and because, man, these feet have so many versions of themselves. You know. So anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it. My aunt was telling me or talking about the high-low thing, and he also has this. The black foot is his high foot, and then the white one is his low foot. But I was with my little baby when they trimmed her feet. I want to get pictures and post them in the group chat, but she's starting to get this high-low thing.
Yep.
And I was watching her in the pasture after they trimmed her, and the day after they trimmed her, she didn't want to run around, and she's usually like, whenever I let her out, she just takes off and runs around.
Yep.
And she didn't want to run. She just walked out there, and I was like, weird. And then I watched her again, and she would put that foot, that's that low foot, forward to graze. And then she would try to put the other one in front, and she wouldn't do it for that long. And then she'd put the
able to.
low. Yeah. And I was like, that's why I think it's a low foot, because the horse can't stand up and like switch between legs to graze.
Yeah.
It has to pick that foot
Yeah.
to put in forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And see, that's really great that you're noticing stuff like that. That's why we make the best researchers. Because every person that is in this, okay, because of what we notice about our own horses, like, because see, that's what happened to me. I noticed that my horse just quit loving to run.
Yeah.
He loved to run, and then he just kind of quit loving to run. Something up there. And stuff. So yeah, everything you're seeing and noticing is just right on. And see, they treat us like we don't have a brain in our head.
That's very true.
But it's okay, because see, they can just say goodbye, ma'am, and go get them another customer and stuff. But someday we'll hope that all this will work together for good, and people will be more knowledgeable and know more of the truth and stuff like that. But you have a part in that. You're a young girl, and whatever you see and whatever you do, it's going to make a difference and an effect and add to the overall, base of knowledge that we are gathering here.
I hope my cousin becomes a famous rider, and then I'm going to be your farrier, and I'm going to be like, guys, you're doing it wrong.
There you go.
Yeah, it's my dream to happen.
That sounds great. Well, I'll sure help you all I can.
All right.
And stuff.
Well, I guess I'll contact you.
If you ever need to ask a question, just send me a message. If I don't answer right away, it's because I didn't see it, or I saw it and I was going to answer and then got sidetracked.
Okay, yeah, I do all the time.
I always tell people, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's what I told my dad.
There you go.
Good one. Okay. Thank you so much.
When he was in
Jill.
the hospital. Pissed off all the nurses.
Yay, there you go. Yeah. Keep pushing that button. Bug them. That's what they're there for.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Oh,
All right.
well, now what is your aunt's name?
Trisha.
Trisha. Well,
Yes.
hi, Trisha.
Hello.
Wish you guys a lot of luck with your horses
Thank you.
and stuff. And Sarah, hope we hear from you some more.
You will.
Yep, I will be posting on
Okay,
the chat.
sounds good.
All right.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to be 21 again and know this stuff.
That's why I'm
you
so
just
grateful
got a
right now.
future in front of you there,
He's so
and
grateful.
enough
You did all the
body
years
to
of
still
research.
use it.
You did all the years of research for me and
There you
everyone else
go.
here, so you pushing us in the right direction.
That's right. There you go. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, okay. So it's like 3:00, and I'll take one more horse if somebody wants to look at something here. But even if we don't do your horse, that all these principles still apply. So you can take your horse's pictures, put them in paint, and start looking at the horn tubules. Where did the horn tubules go? You got to remember the basic structure of the foot and the hoof capsule is as follows, which I'm going to get this picture up here again, if I can remember. Horn tubules, that's what I wanted to look at. Just a second. C, D, E, F, G, H, hoof names. Okay. New share, which is this right here. Of course, it's a lot more detailed than this, obviously, in that these horn tubules, this represents horn tubules, but they're like hairs. There's, I don't know, hundreds, it's like hair going there. And this, of course, the horizontal part here represents the growth rings. And so, and here, this is important to keep in mind too. The coronary band groove area that the general periopal covers over here. Now, when the hoof wall grows out, a very thin sheet of this grows with it over the horn tubules. That's what gives the hoof its sheen, natural shine. And so, you can put your, it's better on a computer, but put your picture of your foot in there and just look at the horn tubules. How are they running? Just a minute here. If this horn tubule is supposed to be here, but it's up here, and then this one's like that, this section of hoof wall here has grown into a place where it should not be. And you see how it's longer? By the time you cut it, by the time you trim it out, see, if you give it relief from here, then it will gradually, I have it down to here, okay, and I bevel it, and it'll just fall back because that's where it wants to be because of all the pressure in the foot. So you're growing this area here. If this horn tubule here in the heel area, okay, is not pretty much this long and your hairline isn't up there, of course, there's exceptions to every rule. Because here's the deal. See, this is why this is so hard sometimes. Your exceptions to the rule. Okay, you could have, first of all, you always want to look at the cartilage. The cartilage should be up and straight, and it should be extended behind the pastern here pretty well, like what you see here. See the difference between what you have here and what you have here? Okay, so you could have sometimes this cartilage in this hairline doesn't always just pull down and stay there. Sometimes it'll pull up, and you can have a foot that looks like, just a minute here. Oh, let me get a pencil. Okay, so if this cartilage doesn't stay there, it can wrap around behind the foot, like this piece here. It, like, even though this is pulled down, like so, okay, even though that's pulled down, okay, it doesn't want to pull down, so the foot will stand up anyway, pull up. All this anatomy will pull up. Well, then it will take the hoof capsule itself that was pulled down to here, say, like, okay, in this one, let's say you had a hairline like that, it will pull up. And so you can have this deal going on. Let me undo that. Where the hairline can look just like this. And you can look like you have heel. See it there? That would look like heel. And of course, this will be rounded like that. So you can look like you have heel. It can deceive you so that it looks like this. You see the basic look of this here, straight hairline, not real slanted, not down to here, but a straight hairline. Okay, see, I had a straight hairline here. But what am I looking at? I'm looking at this cartilage here. Okay, this cartilage is supposed to extend back behind this foot like that and be upright. It's not supposed to be pulled down like this or rounded out like this. But what can happen is the size of this hoof capsule can be reduced clear up to here even. Well, at least this far. And it can look just like that. If it doesn't stay, if the foot refuses to stay pulled down like this and it keeps pulling up, this part here will just start rounding out and getting shorter and shorter and shorter, like so. I mean, you literally see feet like that. You know, they look just like a little can. Oops. And then just kind of don't have hardly any cartilage behind them here, like that. So you have to realize that for everything, there is a counterfeit, a false version of the foot. So just because you look at a foot initially and you see, well, he has a straight hairline, kind of high, not at a low angle, and he seems to have heel, that may not be true heel at all. You always, the first thing that we look at is this cartilage right here. And it shouldn't be pulled down, and it should be straight, and it should extend pretty far out behind the foot here. See, so in for the last thing I'm going to show you here, let's see, we'll just undo. So you remember this, just a minute. I'm going to show you this one last picture. Just got to remember where it's at. And then we're going to call it a day. So remember, even if we didn't get to your horse or this situation or that, this is an exercise you can do to become familiar with. Again, what is the first thing you look at? The cartilage above the hairline. Okay, so I'm going to show you why, which I've showed it numerous times, but that's what this is all about, is repetition. Repetition is how you learn this. Because it's like, how did you learn to read? You know? See, it's all about repetition. Let's see here. Well, Okay, just a second here. New share. Okay, where'd you go? Just a second. Okay. So this was an experiment I did in 2020 over a period of several days. And I want you to look at the cartilage here, how it's pulled down and around and under. Now what I did was, see, this is when I realized that the frog and periopal could bind the foot and twist and turn the heels in and bind the cartilage down. And so I was doing an experiment where I was really trimming out a lot of the central sulcus and between the bulbs and thinning that frog down. And then I soaked the foot in a boot so that it stayed wet the whole time. So over a period of 3 days, some really interesting things happened. Here is, this is the 20th or the 21st. 2 days later on the 23rd, look at the cartilage. See the difference? See how this is pulled and rounded down? Okay, look at the cartilage, how it sticks out behind the foot more. Because see, that released it all. That moisture, and then trimming the old frog growth down that had bound the foot and the periopal. And then if we go to this foot, you see it even more. That is the real cartilage here. That is the real cartilage right there. That is what it is anatomically. See, and it goes clear out to there. So I'm just going to draw on this a little bit. Okay. So this one is like this. This one is like this. And this one is like this. See the difference? This is more, way more correct. But at the time, I also didn't know what I know now, and it kind of reverted back to that when it dried out. So what I've been doing is trying to figure out, well, now how do I get the foot like this, but then all this hoof capsule and everything to fill in to all support it where it's supposed to be? That's what I've been working on. And here's something else. Okay, so you know how this is the anatomy, this is the way it's supposed to be. And so here's the cartilage up here. And so, you know, there's anatomy in front of this internally. It's not that right. And so if I take this and I push it down like this, well, there's other stuff that was living here before. So I'm going to infringe on it and I'm going to push it all forward. What happens when you push all this cartilage and fat forward? Okay, well, this right here. First of all, it presses into the navicular bone and into the coffin joint. That joint between the coffin bone and the short pastern bone. And look how it pushed this forward here. See that? And even less here once it started relaxing. And like here, it's just like beautiful. See that? What's another thing that happened? When all this anatomy was able to expand to where it wants to be, what happened here? Here I had a dish in the foot. See it there? And look how the heel was run forward. Look, less of a dish in the foot, it's more straight. Heel more upright. Okay, and here even more upright. The heel is even more upright. And absolutely no flaring dish in the foot. See how that works? Why is that? Because when all this is pushed forward into that coffin joint, it pushes that coffin joint forward, which forces the internal dorsal wall of the foot itself and the toe to push down, like rotates on the joint, and it forces the capsule forward so that they're pulling in opposite directions. So then when you're releasing that, then it's amazing how much his foot can move, how much the hoof capsule can move. For the heels to be gone like that, to here over what, 4 days later, well, 21, 22, 23, 24, 3 days later, that it made the heel stand up. So this is why the first thing you look at is this cartilage. What's really going on with this cartilage? And you have to have an idea of what it's supposed to look like. And it's not even this is better than that, but even this wouldn't be right, because see, it's not supposed to go like that. And I'm not even sure it's even quite supposed to go like this, but this is way more accurate up here. You know, it could be that it's actually supposed to be up more like this, even. See, even higher. Because this hairline, in reality, is supposed to be about like that. See, that would be the true foot. See, and then when all that filled in, it would stabilize and hold all this cartilage where it's at. Because this is as movable as your nose and ears. There you go. That's why it needs the frog stay and the frog and the heel buttresses in a specific configuration to maintain the stability of the whole back of this foot and the size of the foot. Okay, so that's all I got. And I guess we're going to end it here. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say or share?
Just a huge thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, it was kind of nice being here with you guys again. And we'll see. I may do one next week. I don't know. You know what's good is that finally I have a spot. Like when I started doing this, because we got a little place here. It's about an acre, a little over an acre. And got a house and a shop and a garage. It was built in 100 years ago. And then got a little lean-to barn thing out there that Valor and the pony can get in and stuff, and some pasture and a chicken shed. But when I started doing my videos, the only place I ever had to trim was under a tree. I had a tree I tied him to out here for years. Well, then the tree got to infringing on the house, and so we had the tree cut down. Then I had no place. So I hooked up something to the back of the house. Well, no, then a little while later, I built me something I went to Walmart and I got one of those, those things. They're like for a picnic or something. They got a little tent thing over them, a little awning. I put that out here, and then I had a bunch of old barnwood. I built a bunch of stuff around it so I could tie my horse in there, get out of the sun or the rain, and do some videos, you know. Well, that thing fell apart. So I finally got a guy to put a roof on a lean-to off the side of the shop out here. And now I have this really nice big area that's covered in where I can get out of the sun and out of this. I got a big, nice counter in there. I can do all my dissections in there, and I can do videos and stuff like that. So you would think I'd have made me something like that by this time, but I hadn't. And I was so I just didn't like to do videos and stuff because I really didn't have anywhere decent to do them. And so now I'm making me up a little place here, and real excited about that because I'm really hoping that I can get, I've got like about 30 feet in the freezer out here. And so it'd be really great if we could get all those dissected, because see, this is what's great. And what I've noticed is that in my first dissections, there was just so much I didn't understand and everything. But now that I'm knowing so much more than I did, as you do a dissection, it's even more astounding because you learn even more, and come to more and more realizations because you already have a foundation of truth that you are working from. Because you can do thousands of these dissections, but if you're learning and your foundational understanding is still based in the error of these vet schools, you ain't going to learn nothing. In fact, all you're going to do is misinterpret everything that you see. See? So, and I've proved that over the years. And so, you know, another thing I did was a lot of times I would do take a plastic, or not a plastic, plaster cast. I buy one of those kits where, oh, you know, you take you and your baby's hand and you stick it in alginate and then you pull it out and you pour plaster in it. So I would do that with feet. Some of the first feet I did. And you know what was great about that? Was that then years later, after I had learned some stuff, okay, and see, it's not only about learning something, it's about becoming unleavened, as I would call it. It's about unlearning. See, because when you learn things the wrong way and you have the wrong stuff lodged in your head, that's going to affect how you look at something. So as I would unlearn stuff and then go, see, always be willing to go back and look or read something you have read even 100 times before. You know, whether it's a foot, see, because we read these feet. That's what we're doing. We're reading these feet and coming to an understanding of what is going on, the truth about what is really going on. And so always be willing to go back and look at something again after you've learned a whole bunch, because you're going to see even more. You're going to see where you made mistakes or you misread something, or you're going to see it in a broader context now because you've increased your understanding in that subject. Anyway, so having the photos, to go back and look at the photos and understand more, having the plaster feet, going back and looking at them, you just see them in a whole new light because you've learned a whole bunch more. Alrighty then, anybody got anything they want to share, say? No. Okay. Okay. Well, hey, everybody have a great day. And
Thank you.
a great
Thank
week
you.
and happy trimming.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.